And welcome. It is still winter time here where I live. I know we're close to spring, but boy, the world I live in doesn't want to see that and doesn't want to act like that. So we still have the snowmen because it's still cold where I am. I don't know about you, but I want to say hi and welcome. Today, we are going to be talking about the 4 mistakes that people make with adulting. And what is so cool about this is these match the mistakes that we just talked about in the community and in the workplace. So if you're talking about mistakes that people make trying to make healthier policies, it is the same across the board in your personal life as well as the community and in the workplace. And so I want to show you how these connect together. And so for the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we're going to be talking specifically about those mistakes that we make on our own personal growth journey. And so if you're thinking about, well, I don't know if I'm into really making public policies, this might be for you. So if you're here, you care about healthier policies, whether it's about yourself or whether it's about creating them in the community. And you have joined us. And for that, we're really grateful. We want to say thank you to Tanya and to Lisa, who always catch our replays. I want to say thanks to them. And so if you're here today and you're catching the replay, put replay in the chat. We're excited that you're here. I also want to say thank you to my friend, Jason, who invites new people into our group all the time. If you're somebody that invites people to our group, I say thank you to you because that's the best thing you can do to show your gratitude for the content that we put out each week is to invite your friends. And there's a special friend in this group, I'm not going to name a name, but brought me to thinking about how to teach this particular concept differently. I did not use the term adulting, had not really thought about it, but once you start thinking about it, boy, it makes a whole lot of sense because it shows you how to be a good adult and how to change those things. So I'm really excited about today because we are going to talk about ways we can improve our lives. So if you've been making mistakes and you want to make an improvement, put improvement in the chat and I'll know that you're here, that you're listening. So if you're watching that replay, put replay improvement. I'm glad to hear that you're here. My name is Renee Schulte. I am a clinician by trade. I also am a former politician and a recovered workaholic. I don't do those things anymore. And I work in the space of policy. But what I want to show you is if you have an understanding of how policy works, and people think sometimes that the word policy is hard. Policy is just the way or a decision that you make to make things happen for you. And so policies can be kind of rules, can be laws, can even be boundaries in your own personal life, but things that you set in place to guide the direction you want to go. That's a policy. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to be heading into the policy party season here in the middle of April. We're starting another policy party. And this time it's going to have 2 tracks. It's going to have a personal growth track for if something that you're interested in, and it's going to continue to have that workplace and community track. And there's going to be a quiz at the beginning to see which one of these might be most important for you in this season and let you pick which way you want to go. So we're going to be teaching about personal policies as well as group and community policies and looking at that from 2 different sides. Because my background, I'm able to do both. Working as a counselor and a clinician and a coach, I can do one-on-one. And working from the consultant side, the lobbyist side, I can do the group in the workplace. I've done all of this. And so showing you how these things connect is really exciting to me. I hope I can connect it in your mind too, because once you see that the light bulbs go off, holy crap, you're like, wow, it's not that hard. We can do this across all areas of our lives. So the things we talked about before, we just got finished with the 4-week series on mistakes. We just got done talking about them as far as for the community and far as work. And we talked about wanting to change everything. And so nothing gets changed. We skip the research and we don't know what we're doing. And we go in blind. We talk about going in all by ourselves, trying to do it alone. And then we have that rambling message that nobody listens to because it doesn't make any sense. So now we're going to shift those around and it's a lot the same. You're going to hear the same common themes, but it sounds a little different from the personal perspective. Trying to change everything at once. Well, we know about that. That's mistake number 1. We're going to cover that in depth today. And you know exactly what I'm talking about when it's in your personal life. Number 2, we're going to talk about not believing everything you think. And that's going to require a little research. So it's just like the other. We're going to be diving into figuring out what exactly do I think and why do I think that? Is it real or am I made it up? That's really important. Number 3, we try to go it alone. We don't ask for help. We do that in our personal life too, just like we do when we're going out to try to change something in the workplace or in the community. We try to go it alone, and that's not going to work out for us. And then number 4, this, instead of talking about the message that you say to others that doesn't resonate, what are you saying to yourself? Ooh, Are you a person that says things to yourself that you would not say out loud to others and you would never say to a friend? Oh, no. What is that about? So we're going to talk about how do we change that? So the first mistake, sometimes we're human and we just cannot help ourselves, but we want everything fixed and we want it done yesterday. Who's with me on that, right? After all, we can see how big of a mess it is that we live with, and somebody needs to do something about it. So it needs to be fixed right now. Every New Year's Day, millions of people start making New Year's resolutions. And we can make New Year's resolutions, and you know what? By now, they've already stopped. In fact, most research shows that anybody who made resolutions, there's a couple of things. First of all, it's younger generations who even set them in the first place. By the time you get to my age, you've just given up doing it at all because you know they haven't been successful. And then for those that did do resolutions, they quit by like the 3rd of February. And so we're well past that. So many people who had all these good intentions set out with these ideas of what needed to change this year and are already quit. And the biggest reason is because we tried to change too many things all at once. Does that sound like you? Ever been there? I understand. I get it. So if you get to the beginning of the year, you're like, oh my gosh, I need to drink more water. I need to eat more vegetable. I need to work out more. I need to, eat less sugar. I need to cut out dairy. I need to cut out gluten. You just write the whole list. You go like 15 things just in the diet area alone, right? And you're like, I need to do all of those today. Well, guess what? That's a big problem because we can't do that. So you might have, let's talk about it. Let's see if you have that few extra pounds. I know I have some after pandemic, after the winter, I always do. How can you do that? You can't do everything. So you've got to figure out how to make changes that last. And we're going to talk about that because you can make changes that last. But here is how an example of what could work. Now, it can't always work without the changes, but here's how it could work. So if you have an example of something, maybe you brush your teeth every day at the same time. Maybe you do. If you brush your teeth every day at the same time, that is a routine that is in your vernacular, in your daily routine that happens every single day. Maybe you brush twice a day, right? And if you do that, you can then buddy up other things that you want to add on. You can totally do that. Once you have something established that's very simple, that's an anchor. And once you have an anchor, you can add to the anchor. Now, I know that doesn't sound like a lot of change, but say you need to start working out every morning. And every morning you have a plan that you brush your teeth and then you can put on your workout clothes right after that, right? And maybe you have a routine before bed where you get ready for bed, you brush your teeth, you lay out your workout clothes right before you go to bed, right after you brush your teeth at night, so that in the morning after you brush your teeth, you put the workout clothes on. You see how you start pairing those things up? Now, does that guarantee you actually work out and you make it to the gym? No, but are you going to be further along if you got your shoes laced up and ready to head out the door? Yes. So there's a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear that book talks all about exactly this. So how do you start figuring out what changes to make? This is the same as if you're working in policy in the community. You cannot change everything all at once. You have to make a prioritized list. You absolutely have to. The way you do that is you start with one list of just everything. And then I do a couple of things. I then go through and figure out what is the easiest to accomplish and pick out those and put them in order. And then maybe pick out the ones that are most important and put those in order. And then once you start looking at that list of what's easiest and what's most important, then you pick out the main thing that if you start with this one thing, it might change a lot of things. So maybe for you, if you're looking at a health thing, you're looking at maybe drinking water first thing in the morning. Drinking water has a ton of benefits. It's really easy to do. And it's something you can add on. The first thing in the morning, you drink a glass of water. That could start off a domino effect of positive things. And that's something that's easy and important and that you can add right on. That's an example. Maybe it's something that you need to read more. And so before you pick up your phone every day, you need to know that you're going to read in a book 10 pages before you check your notifications. If you always pick up your phone, it's easy. That's a habit. You can do something right before it and make yourself get that done before you get to use your phone. You see what I'm saying? So you're trying to connect things that already happen. So when you start thinking about policies, this is what we're going to start thinking about for the week. You're going to start thinking about, okay, what is it that's really important for me to do? And how easy is it to do it? And then attach it to something you're already doing. So I've already gave you some examples of brushing your teeth, maybe drinking a glass of water. Do you sit down to eat at certain times a day? If you sit down to eat at certain times a day, you can stack something in there. A lot of people, if they have medications, right, and they need to remember to take their medication or their supplements, you can stack that with when I do eat breakfast, I take my medication. If you maybe your medications, you do that, have to do multiple times a day. Maybe you do the medications before lunch, or maybe you take your medications before dinner, or maybe you take your medications before you brush your teeth at night. You see what I'm saying? So there's things in your life you already do automatically every single day. You got to notice what those are, and you've got to start partnering up with it about what it is that's most important to change. But before you can do that, you got to pick out what is that. Now, when you're thinking about making habits, it takes time, but not as long as you might think. Now, I bet a lot of people out there think, oh, there's 21 days to make a habit. And that's not real. That's not true. Research shows that it's anywhere from 6 weeks, can be 6 months. And if something is hard, it may take even longer to establish a habit. So you don't want to just try 21 days and forget it. It's not going to work like that. But you got yourself to a place where you do things habitually, day in and day out, for a lot of reasons and for a long time. So think about what those things are. What do you do every single day? And then start partnering things up. So if you're a person that gets a shower every day and you put on makeup every day, or you get your hair done every day or whatever, you can partner things up. You can add listening to podcasts while you're getting ready before in the morning. So pairing something up that you need to do that's important to you, pairing it up with something you automatically do. If this sounds familiar, this is what we're going to be talking about during the policy party. We're going to be talking about how can you fix the mistake of trying to do everything all at once. And if you had to prioritize, what would it be that if you change one thing could make a general direction, a big change for you? That's what we're going to be talking about. So if you're listening to us today, and if you're here live or in the chat, I see Barb popped in. Hi, Barb. Nice to see you. Put improve in the chat. Let us know you were here live. And if you're watching the replay, type replay. Improve, improvement, whatever you'd like to pick, and make sure that you say that and let us know that you were here. We are going to be looking at this option through the policy party. So start thinking about now. Make your big list, all the things you want to change in your life. If you're not doing the adult thing the way you think it should be done, and you're not being the adult you want to be, maybe it's time to look at some of those things that are habits and some of those things that are routines and figure out how can I make those better. There are things you automatically do. Now is the time to partner healthy things onto those to make the choices that you want to make. So next week, we're going to start talking about how do we do that? What other changes need to be made in order to make healthy policies for ourselves? And again, they're going to be very similar to what you saw in the community, because in this first one in the community, we have to prioritize what it is we want to change. You can't change everything all at once at school, at work, or in the community. And you can't change everything at once at home either. We all like comfort. And so we're not going to be people who automatically want to change. So in order to do that, we're going to have to think through how do we want to do that? And the first step, the very first step is to prioritize what's first. Once you get one going, you start building some momentum, then you can add a second, and it just keeps going. And again, that book is called Atomic Habits by James Clear. If that's something you're interested in, I'd love to hear if you loved the book just as much as I do. So we're going to have our party coming up on April 10th. And if you think you know people that are interested in growing in a space of being a better adult, being a better human, invite them to our group. We would love to see them here. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. We'll see you soon. Talk.